On day 52, I woke up past noon and tried to change the bandage on my hand, only to find out that it was fully healed. Then I ate 2 bags of chips in order to stop losing weight. After that, I spent the rest of the day unloading my truck. At 8 p.m. I was done and decided to walk toward the highway. Initially, I reached the pancake house using the hole in the metal fence. From here, I was able to reach the highway and moved alongside to the southwest direction. This led me toward my taxi, and ignoring any enemy around, I drove back. Using the highway, I reached the large warehouse and used the side road to the right. Avoiding the new spawns, I carefully drove toward my base, and once there, I parked along the metal fence near the entrance of my property. At this point, it was time to unload the loot within the taxi. It required a few hours to take care of the first batch, and past midnight, I went to collect the rest. I had to deal with a new spawn that reached my location halfway there. Another one joined the fight a few seconds later. Back to unloading my car, it took 2 extra hours for me to finish this activity. At 1 a.m. and half I was done and went to sleep. The next day I woke up at 9 a.m. and ate the last of junk food was left in my inventory and kitchen. This wasn't enough to start again gaining weight. As a result, I resorted to eat one of sticks of butter I had in my cooking ingredients shelf. After that, I read a few paperbacks to fix my sadness and went to my truck. While driving toward the highway, I stopped near the 2 wrecked cars and added a new icon in the map to remember their location when I will need some spare parts. After that, I drove to the left and reached the hole in the fence near the pancake house, where I had to stop and deal with 2 Zeds on the opposite sides of the road. While trying to reach the crossroad, I had to fight 2 enemies that came from the west. Then, walking along the side road, I took care of another 2. The fight attracted another couple, and after dealing with those, I went back to my truck. Instead of using the just cleared road, I opted to drive forward and reach the next crossroad. Once there, I heard someone in the tree line and moved to the cleared area to safely fight the enemy that was hiding between the trees. After that, I moved to the south and dealt with another solitary Zed in the middle of the right road. I noticed more incoming from the attorney building. Staying along the fence, I killed 3 that climbed over soon after. Then a 4th enemy tried to ambush me from behind. He failed to surprise me, but gave time for the 5th to safely climb over the fence. This wasn't a problem because I defeated him promptly, and then I climbed over the fence to fight the last member of that group. Later, I noticed another troublemaker on the right road I decided to kill as well. After that, I went inside the building, reached the bathroom to take some water and fix my thirst. The second I was done, a Zed climbed in, only to find his brain painting the walls the next moment. I heard someone else getting inside from the office, and I reached that room to deal with the problem. After that, I climbed through the bathroom window and found another group to the left that was eager to die. While finishing them on the ground using my machete, I leveled up my long blade proficiency. Once I dealt with another one that tried to ambush me, I double-checked my combat stats and found out that I reached level 2 in long blade. Later, climbing over the fence, I had to defeat a new enemy. Before pushing further, I heard someone inside the previous building and went to its entrance door to clear it out. The Zed within decided to use the window, making my job easier. After that, I went back to my truck, and once there I had to deal with 2 Zeds that were surrounding my vehicle. Once back at the steering wheel, I drove toward the next house to loot. The engine noise attracted a new group of 2 that came from the south. To not litter the road with corpses, I moved to the property lawn and dealt with them there. Next, I tried to use the entrance door, but it was locked, and this forced me to use the window. The first item to collect was a radio on the kitchen cupboard, followed by a grape soda in the fridge. Later, beside the radio, I also picked up the microwave. While opening the only door here, I found out that this room isn't connected to the main house. To keep exploring the building, I had to leave and enter through the side entrance. This allowed me to find, in the center of the floor, a griddle pan to loot, followed by another radio placed on top of the dining table. Moving to the kitchen, the only useful item was in the fridge, and it was a carton of apple juice. On the ground in front of that fridge, I found another juice carton. The last useful item of this property was in the bedroom, where lying on the ground I found a great piece of literature. Going back to my truck, I had to fight a group of 4 that came one at a time only to die by my hands. While depositing the new loot in the car trunk, I noticed more incoming from the southwest. Killing the closest one forced the other 3 to start chasing me. To make it easier to fight them, I went inside the house, closed the door, and opened the window. The first 2 fell in my trap and died soon after, while the third decided to go for the door, and I had to fight him regularly. 2 extras slowly reached my location from the south, and I defeated them without any issues. Double-checking the property, I noticed that it also had a basement accessible from behind. Downstairs, I had to kill a sleeping Zed, and unfortunately, the only container I found here didn't have any loot inside. A few moments later, I was back in the safety of my truck and used this opportunity to sign the just explored location as looted. After that, I reached the next house and had to fight 2 tenants that were waiting for me outside. I noticed a larger group that gathered near the shed, and one of them started to walk toward my location. Looking around, I soon realized that I was surrounded. To play it safe, I moved back to the previous property where I fought the fastest one that followed me. Going back, another 2 decided to fight me near the metal fence, only to find their heads smashed to smithereens the next moment. At this point, I had a moment to loot the corpses. This allowed me to collect a pair of earbuds and a watch. Before I had to fight another group of 4 that came with a good distance between each others. Once in front of the main entrance, I had to fight 13 of them. Thankfully, almost all of them were slow, and this allowed me to perfectly manage the horde and kill them one by one without any issues. At the end of the fight, I felt out of breath, and to restore my strength, I took a breather looting the new corpses. Beside the usual, I also found a gardening trowel and a paring knife. While collecting the second item, I was interrupted by 2 extra Zeds that decided to join the graveyard. After that, I continued looting the corpses and found a kitchen knife on one of them. Once done, it was time to loot the nearby property. But before that, I had to deal with the owner of the house that were banging on the entrance door. Then I was able to start looting from the bookshelf to the right from the entrance, where I found an entertainment VHS and photo books, plus the Pottery Volume 2 skill book. In the bedroom drawer, I found a great piece of literature, followed by another one in the kids' bedroom. Moving to the living room, I found an Angler magazine I already read and a comic book. Moving to the kitchen from the only cupboard with some loot, I was able to obtain some yeast, a baking tray, and some baking soda. Considering it was too late to keep pushing, I spent a few hours washing my clothes using the bath water. Around 11 p.m., I finished the water. Then I moved to the bedroom and went to sleep so I would be ready to push further tomorrow. Unfortunately, I woke up at 2 a.m. and a half in a state of panic. To not waste my time just waiting, first I went back in the living room and dismantled the television. Then back in the bedroom, I read the last magazine I had on me and spent the rest of the night dismantling small electronic devices I had on me.